Hey, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight we are doing a little timeless tarot reading. It's going to be a pick a pile setup. So I'll shuffle, deal out all the piles, and then have you choose which one you feel drawn to most, and we'll go from there. Before we get started, just want to mention, if you like this video, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me, and if you have been around and you're already subscribed, then thank you. It means a lot. I guess we'll get started. So I'm going to make the piles, like the pile signifiers, if you will, with two different decks. One is the Supra deck, from Lucy, and these are what the cards look like. So these cards will be part of what we'll use to show like your current situation. And I'm just going to couple that with a card, just a Rider-Waite inspired card from the Holy Simple Tarot deck. They look like this. So this combined with the Super card will help us figure out what your current situation is, and also help you decide which pile you would like to choose for the reading. Alright. Then, to describe the situation that we've just defined, I'm going to pull 3 cards from the Labyrinthos 7th Sphere deck. 3 cards for each pile, so 9 cards total. They look like this. So we'll use these to describe the current situation. I think I will loosely look at them as a sort of present, past, future situation, but only as it makes sense for each pile. So we'll be a little flexible on that. Okay, and then finally, for each pile, I'm going to put aside 3 oracle cards from the Holly Simple Fuzzy Prism Oracle. The box looks like that, and the cards look like this, etc. And these will be, again, 3 cards per pile, so 9 cards total. And we'll just kind of think of them as guideposts or values you can use to build a sort of compass to help you move forward from whatever situation you find yourself in. So 9 of those too. Okay, so I moved all the cards over here on a little table I have, and just really quickly before we get into it, I just want to say that tarot is not a means of divination per se, but rather a tool for reflection. So take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't, and use what is said to empower you and your actions. Okay, without further ado, here are the 3 piles. The first pile is myth. So myth is maybe chiseling a kind of sphere here, and also 5 of swords. The 5 of swords. The second pile we're signifying with nothing, and also the Hanged Man. And the third pile is signified with release. And also the Ace of Swords. That's a single sword here. So once again, that is the first pile. Just really listen to which one draws you to it. Don't worry about what it looks like, just what draws you to it. The second pile and the third pile. So I'll let you make your decision and then I will see you there. Alright, so for the first pile, we have the current situation represented by myth and the 5 of swords. Myth is a really interesting card here, I think, because it's giving me myth and all the grand vision and story of that, but also the weight of that, I think. Probably because it's partnered here with the 5 of swords. This is a card that suggests there's some tension maybe in your current situation. These things may pertain to you. They may pertain to something outside of you that's in your surrounding, something close to you at this moment. So if it doesn't describe you per se, maybe look to things that have entered your your scope and your world of late. It can suggest some cruelty, maybe false accusations. It can suggest inflated ego at the expense of others. And no matter what, I think the thing to kind of think about taking these 2 cards together is that the power of words and actions is great, whether those words and actions are your own or those of someone else. Only you can know. But that there's a kind of weight across bared here, with both the good and the bad that comes with that, and with myth, and with legacy, and with sense of self. So this is our current situation. So now what we're looking at, we have the 8 of Wands in the past, we'll say. The present is the 4 of Pentacles. And then we have the Chariot. This is to describe your current situation. So we'll start here with the 8 of Wands. This card is about movement. It happened in the near past. What has done cannot be undone. Don't be worried, but it's true. What has done cannot be undone. The bell has been rung. The words have been said. The email has been sent. There's a strong energy to this card. It's very highly energetic, moving forward, pushing forward. And at this point, I would say the situation is out of your hands now. And so maybe now you have to let the universe work its magic and unfold in the way that it must. There's really nothing to be done about some action, some word, something that has happened in the past. There's no reason to worry about it per se. It might have been done without much thought or in a kind of brash manner, but there's no reason to worry. It's just that you have to let the universe kind of tease out now what will come from this. I think maybe because of this card, there's a feeling in this current situation and in the present of this current situation of possessiveness. Like, if you know the Rider-Waite sort of illustration of this card, it's got this kind of clinging nature to it. Like, I'm holding on to my material possession, my wealth, and never letting it go. Like, clinging to accrued wealth. Perhaps there was early success, and even though you're okay because of the early success, there's a fear of loss to come, and so there's this kind of possessiveness that has taken hold. And these are the things informed by, these things are informing the current situation, but all of them together, I feel like there's this weight, this maybe a sense of regret, maybe a kind of second guessing of yourself or your decisions, for reasons that are good reasons or unfounded reasons, right? Like, we may be dealing with false accusations. Again, it might be a sense of inflated ego. There's a power and a weight to these cards. And so we do need to let the universe work its magic, but also the values we want to harness to have the best possible outcome, and to reach this state of strength, or I guess, yes, it's the Chariot, not the Strength card, but it does suggest strength in a tied to movement, energetic way, like a way of willpower, of action, of self-certainty, self-confidence, right? Like, that's definitely what the best outcome would be in this case. A return to confidence. I'll show you what values we're going to harness to get there, but I do think that this is an outcome that is quite literally in the cards. I think one more thing I'll say just about this situation is, given this myth card, I feel like it's super important. And there's this aspect to all of this of a myth is a ancient cycle. It's like a revolution of storytelling, revolution in the physical sense, like a revolving story that passes through you, your mind, your heart in cycles, and it's like a retelling of who you are, that can confirm for you the path that you are on, more and more so with each retelling. So yeah, again, I feel like ego, story, myth, it's all at play here. It is heavy, but it doesn't have to be, because to get to a state of owning it and regaining any self-trust, self-confidence that we may have felt in doubt about. And that is through the 3 cards I'll share with you now. These sort of values we'll use, like I said, as a kind of compass. We have gratitude for one. That to me makes a lot of sense, looking at, again, the weight of ego. We can let that go a bit by practicing gratitude. Having gratitude even for being in this situation of myth. Like, it feels difficult right now, but that myth and legacy are at play, is already a gift in a way. Is a gift. And so maybe seeking gratitude for all of that. Also, breathe, just tapping into breath. I think this is a particularly useful one for letting the universe work its magic. With this card, something was done that we might be wanting to undo in this moment. And like I said, we just have to see what will come of it. And that's not for us to control anymore. Whether you want to or not, you just can't, and that's okay. And a good way to really tap into that feeling of like letting go of that and waiting for what comes back from it, or what is brought to us from it, is to tap into your breath. Just breathe. And finally, courage. Again, with gratitude for the myth card, for myth being an element in this story, in this situation. I think also courage ties into that, where kind of a feeling of, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think courage is something that is necessary here, and that by tapping into it, we will get to this place of, where's our card? Of finding strength in ourselves and taking that strength from the Chariot through willpower, acting in the world, and finding a way forward in a way that honors ourselves and our story. That's what I think courage will get done for you. So again, courage, gratitude, and breath. Alright, that is pile 1. Okay, so pile 2 is represented by nothing and the Hanged Man. I really hope that whoever felt drawn to this combo chose it, because it doesn't look so inviting, but I just have a feeling that it's going to be like the most beautiful of situations for us. So this is our current situation. We have nothing. Not much to say about that in a way. And then we have suspension here with the Hanged Man. Suggests a like change in perspective, in point of view. Limbo, new perspective. And also, this one thing I read once about this card, about the Hanged Man, was about how, from this perspective, and when set to be still, you have a chance to observe the solitary path on which you are, on which we all are, and to observe like the flickering, sacred energy of everything in the world around us. And that just keeps popping into my mind, seeing this coupled with the Nothing card. And so I think it's going to go somewhere beautiful. But yeah, maybe you're in limbo. Something new has happened, where there's a perspective change that may be uncomfortable at first, perhaps. Discomfort often comes with change. especially something as big as like a change or flipping of perspective. So let's look into it. Okay, interesting. So in the near past, we have the Tree of Life. This is a very beautiful card, not often found or like ever found in the tarot, but this deck has it as a kind of extra card, and I've never gotten it before. But I would naturally say this is suggesting to me something about cyclical change, about finding the right season in life for each thing. Perhaps, like for each thing, there is a season, and being open to cycling and not judging any part of the cycle against the others. Then, in like the present, we have the Ace of Cups, this gorgeous card here. So this is a card of compassion. It's a card of beginnings in the emotional realm, because it's the ace, because it's a cup. So like connections. Also, there are interpretations of this card that have like birds, we have the water, flowers. Often there will be like lotus flowers in the water. And so it connects many worlds. It's an open-hearted card. It's a really beautiful card. And so I do think, again, with these situation cards that we set at the beginning, we're in this place where it's not an empty nothingness, like a nothingness. It's like a pause where you're in the middle of gaining new perspective, I think, on life, on discomfort, and through like the discomfort of changes, an acceptance of it, and a compassion for those going through it, whether that be yourself or someone else. There's a very open, warm, loving energy to the nothingness. And if we use the kind of like compass cards I'm going to give you in a second, ideally we'll get this like ideal outcome I'm about to show you, which is the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, this is like a great outcome, right? So kind of observing these things, feeling these things that we're talking about, and then ideally you reach this place where you are like making something of your spiritual world. She's a charismatic person, deeply spiritual, has this generosity to her, this devotion, like a devotional energy that fuels herself but also ignites like positive patterns in others, and she stays true to her cause. And so I just feel like this is like a beautiful movement forward, like gaining some kind of insight, like spiritual insight through observation and through pausing. That's where you are currently. And then through these things, synthesizing those kind of feelings and intuitions to become this literally kind of fiery, beautiful, compassionate, generous force in your life for yourself and also in the lives of others. It's just like really beautiful. So how do we get from like this moment of stasis to here is with these sort of value cards we can use as a compass. And those would be time. Okay, so again, I think This is relating to the Hanged Man being in a position of like pause. Time is a key ingredient here. I think this movement we saw, don't know where I put those cards, are there. This movement is not one that can be rushed. We need time for it to go in the right direction, in the right way, in the fullest way. So time, having patience, having patience. Then we also have action. So this, I think, is like, once you have some understanding, maybe not getting caught up in the stasis, but rather also finding ways to activate your compassion, your charisma, your spiritual, devotional self, finding ways to make good on those feelings and energies by taking action in the world. And pleasure. So taking pleasure in the process as well, I would say, and pleasure and compassion, not just compassion as a martyr, but compassion as, again, this like general devotional spirit that takes pleasure in observing, in giving, in like leading a sort of spiritual way for others. And that doesn't have to be strictly spiritual, like you're like a spiritual leader sort of way, but rather maybe leading by example in the way that you move through the world. If you take pleasure in these changes and in the world, even in tandem with this kind of more spiritually guided way, that a spiritual path for you doesn't have to be one that is strictly held in another realm, but rather can be one in which you find joy and find true connection, physical connection, and exuberance. Yeah, exuberance. It's like there's like an exuberance to it, and a kind of like juiciness or like meatiness to it, where it's not just spiritual, like in the air, at a remove, in another realm. It's like here in the world. So finding that aspect of it, it will help you greatly. That is the second pile. And then finally, we have the third pile, which is represented by release and the Ace of Swords. We have release here and the Ace of Swords. So release is release. This is describing our current situation, right? I have this feeling that like it's a need for release or desire for release. And this Ace of Swords card suggests like the key word I think of when I see this is clarity. And I feel like it's a need for clarity or a desire for clarity in the same way that I feel like we are looking for some kind of release, some kind of clarity. This card too, because it's kind of like a card of beginnings in the intellectual aspect of things, like in intellectual pursuits or like mind-driven beginnings. There's something about the value of the mind in the current situation that we need to focus on, like that your brain can determine how to react to outside circumstances, and that is an important tool. This sword can be used to defend yourself or to hurt others. Like there's a question of whether there's this choice of like whether to hurt or heal. I think both of which are a power, like the power to hurt with this or the power to heal with this. And so there's some kind of like something that needs to be released that has to do with using the brain and the mind to choose the way forward. That's what I'm picking up. So to describe that situation, we have first this card of return. So we're kind of positioning this a bit in the past, and this card is not usually found in tarot, but it is included in this deck. And I think it is quite literally just a return. I think maybe in the near past. Somewhere, someplace, someone who was familiar to you, and it's different now. And that's why something needs to be resolved still, I think. And that's why we're making some kind of decision about what tack to take. And I feel like it's muddied a bit by, like, it's important to stay in the present and not get pulled too closely or like tightly or strongly by the past or by the future. But to like choose the right thing to do with this sword, we'll need to be in the present, and like in the present with ease. So right now, that looks like strength. This card is quite literally strength, but it's an inner kind of strength. She's not taming the lion by restraining him with force or coercing. No coercion. It's a card of like gentle inner strength, of focus, and of what's the word I want? Like composure. So I think this situation is, at least at present, requiring to sit with this return. It's requiring a lot of composure, and it's a gentle kind of composure with an eye on like the dangerous potential of something if that composure is not kept and is not kept gently. Like, this lion is so powerful, and it's perfectly tame in this moment because of the way she is able to be present and sit with the lion and approach it in this very particular way that is not forceful. Let's see if we get more clarity from this card, which I kind of am positioning as slightly like in the future card. Okay, so we have the moon. The moon is a card of fear, of mystery. It's also one of illusion. It's interesting too because, and I think in this situation, maybe it's like an opportunity to develop intuition. This pile is very much in its feelings, but a real world decision needs to be made. There's some kind of like nostalgia factor here. There's a quietness to the situation and the way it's playing out, but it's not, just because it's quietly played out doesn't mean there isn't mad tension or like a lot of restraint in a way that's like blocking energy. That's what I would say. So ideally in the near future, there's this opportunity to develop intuition in regards to this situation and to be able to move with the ebb and flow of life, like moon, right? There's like a tide, a push, pull, an ebb flow of the water, and that is a similar kind of quiet, gentle nature to this card. that is also tying to the cycle suggestion of cyclical return from this card. So I think the ideal outcome is that you find through your focus and composure a way to sit with the ever-changing tide of life. And maybe at first this return, like perhaps there was some resistance with this return, and you're trying to find a way out of this somehow, out of returning again, or out of the place to which you return to never return or to stop the cycle of returns. But actually the solution is to find a way to be flexible enough in this gentle, composed way to allow for these returns to happen with grace and flexibility and understanding of the the ever changingness of it. And also in this card there's, this like crustacean friend coming out. This is a part of your unconscious that was hidden in the water, but now it's ready to be seen. So something in you has been there all along that is coming out now, or like in the near future, if we're able to tap into the right energy, that is going to maybe surprise you about something about your essence or your nature, that is going to surprise you and also help you choose which path to take and how to be graceful and gentle about these movements, and hopefully find release. There's also a lot of duality in the moon card, like the wolf and the dog are two different paths of like two different instincts we can tap into, and I feel like that is kind of referring back to this card, where we can use the sword to hurt others or defend ourselves, or to hurt or to heal is another way to think of it. And so through composure, focus, gentleness, we will figure out how to use the sword, which instinct to tap into. It's going to reveal something about your truest essence that's been there all along that you never saw before, and you'll know what to do. The values to help you reach that place, like a kind of compass, are in these cards. So fear. That's really interesting because, like I said, the moon card is in part about fear, illusion, confusion, mystery. And so I feel like this card is suggesting maybe that you lean into the fear, not to become more fearful, but again to like resist less, to allow more, to find grace, to find ease, to sit with discomfort, just allow your fear to exist. Because also in this card, I feel this person is maybe fearful of whatever this is. This kind of smoky situation, but they don't look pained by it actually. Like when they put their hand through it, they're untouched. And I think that's what you may find for yourself. If you look at your fear, acknowledge it, allow it to be, you'll find that it doesn't hurt you. Embrace. I would just put these together even and be like, embrace fear, embracing the situation, allowing it to happen. Again, being in this kind of flow state, not flow state like when you're working, like flow, but like this ease, and embracing the tides, and then finally energy. So I think this series of cards, it has this very nostalgic feel to it, and I think a lot of what will determine what path you take, which instinct you tap into, is going to be determined by your energy, and that it is important that you pay mind to your energy and enter situations with an energy that is intentional, so that you can really be in the present, not confused by the past or the future, kind of pulling you into these other stories or other patterns that may or may not really apply to this current iteration of whatever this return is referring to. So paying mind to your energy and being really intentional about that as you enter those situations. So that was the third pile. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you are doing super, super, super well. And if you're not, that's okay. I'll see you very soon. And until then, good night, good night, good night.